Good morning. Starting off early today. It's nice out, chilly. It's like a taste of fall. And Holly and I are going up to Johns Hopkins today for tests today and tomorrow. So we're both getting an early start, and the walk gets all the kinks out. And if you consider the Republicans beating up on generals and Biden for withdrawing from Afghanistan, well, that's their gig. These guys, you sure wouldn't want to have them next to you in a foxhole. They'd be telling you to do things in hiding, because that's all they do. They throw fear and false statements around, unconcerned about what it does to the republic or the people out there who care. Another good example of that is in Arizona, when the ninjas couldn't come up with any fraud in the election. And in fact, they showed that Biden had more votes, but it showed that Biden won and that Trump did not. What did Trump do? He went out and said he won, and that's what the ninja found. We shouldn't be giving air to this guy. I guess the thinking is there's two kinds of thinking going on. They talk themselves into saying, well, that's newsworthy. He just told another lie. Well, Trump lying is not newsworthy. It really isn't. Because my view is the only time you can trust what he says is when he admits to misconduct he's actually committed. Like firing Comey, for example. Up until that point, they had a BS story about, it had to do with Hillary Clinton, when it didn't at all. And, we have hundreds of examples. So the one part is the media talks themselves into reporting his lie, telling us it's a lie, but nevertheless putting it out there for the ditto heads to believe. But the second thing that's going on here is they talk themselves into this because they get a high Q ratio, a high response from the public, like driving by an accident on a backed up road. People are always looking. And I think it's because, in a way, and this is what I think Aristotle is getting at, we're seeing our fate. Ultimately, we have an opera to play in this world. And then our show is over. And there are regrets, presuming we contributed. And the world moves on. And hopefully we left something for some people, made the world better for them. So I think that's what we see in an accident. There, but for the grace of God, go I. But in Trump's case, I think instead the media is looking for shiny objects that get eyes to the TV and ears to podcasts. So we should keep this in mind and tell our broadcasters that's not what we want to see. We don't want you actually building up this criminal whom you do not investigate and do not prosecute as the trail becomes colder and colder as time goes on and we've done nothing. Then back on the Hill, we have the $4 trillion Democratic proposal. Good proposal, make a big difference, of historic proportions, comparable to anything FDR did or the War on Poverty by LBJ. Really significant. But we have tiny people in the Republican Party who care not a whit about any of us and don't care about our neighbors either. And so we have this situation in which, if you had to be the odds maker, it'd be what I said from the beginning. The chances are 85 to 15 of it being defeated. And that's somewhat up from where I started, where I thought it had no chance at all. But I'd still be very surprised if we passed this worthy bill that's good for America and good for its people. In the category of the anti-vaxxers, they're out there dying in greater numbers. And I can tell you from the local people getting on Facebook and Twitter that, people are saying, see, look at that. The vaccine requires another shot. It means the originals didn't work. And how do these guys miss the argument that the reason we're having a booster shot is because the effect against the virus can only be sustained so long. They don't get it. And we're noting, CDC is noting anyhow, not I, that there are the same kind of side effects for the shot, meaning there are some certain side effects for a day or so, and then it goes away. There are those of us, and we are the majority still, but maybe we're too silent because we presume that our leaders are going to lead, and they don't. And most of us are not like myself and many of you, that if you put us in a room and there's a discussion, we may break the silence and say, hey, what about this? But most people prefer not to speak, not to be open. I don't mean they're closed, they just don't feel comfortable participating. But we have to. I mean, the best example is those who actually take the Sermon on the Mount seriously, who are Christians, who remain silent in the face of the hate-based discriminatory function that the most outspoken Christians embrace, including a whole series of issues, not just abortion, personal life changes and things like that. So that's what we're dealing with, and each of us has to speak to these things. And one example, and people might make fun of this because they do, the snail darter many years ago. What about the ivory-billed woodpecker? Do we care that it's a species that is now extinct? What does that say to us, that a species is extinct? And the report is that there are 22 different species extinct. And over the years of the Industrial Revolution, we have lost species for combinations of reasons. Among them, of course, is overpopulation. Nobody wants to believe that that matters. Bringing people into the world that, the parents don't want here, often abandon them at birth. And the children, when they reach an age to think, they don't know why they're here either. I represented a fellow in a murder case. A very sad story. He was literally abandoned in the hospital. And then he was kept in a closet by his grandparents. He was fed dog food. He suffered malnutrition. He suffered deformities. And ultimately, he thought he had to steal money for an abortion for his girlfriend, who was apparently not even pregnant. This is a sad story of what happens when you don't have rational policy and you don't have standards of conduct. So yes, 22 species are extinct and more on the way because we seem unable to care about others. We are not a part of someone else. That is for many of us, 30%. And I don't know where it ever came, how the Republicans have this conflict, that is between saying they embrace Christianity and bowing their heads and appearing so saintly, and then doing the most horrible things on earth. If there was ever an argument against religion having a public voice, that is to say, being allowed in the marketplace of ideas when they have such hate and discrimination at the foundation of their advocacy, this is it. Now, I'm against, of course, censorship, but let's be smart about this. We have to push back when they do this. It's not enough if they go, believe us, trust us, dearly beloved in Christ, let's not have these homosexuals. Let's not have transgender. Let's not have birth control. Let's not have abortion. Throw them out of our house. It's not acceptable. So, what is my message today? It is that as silently as some of us are, we have to find a voice, even if it's one-on-one, to say to others, this will not stand. We are better than this. We have to be better than this. And that's how we proceed in elections. And those are the message we send to people on the Hill, that they have a responsibility to do better and to be better. And building back better is also about soul work. And we're not doing that, so we have to. So I'm glad to talk to you. This is going to be a rough week because of the challenges Congress has, and the Republicans now have a full-throated roar of disinformation, bad policy attacking our republic. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.